Hello guys, I welcome you all on this wonderful platform that is Byju's Exam Prep. So as you know, GATE 24 exam is over, answer key also is out now, official answer key, response sheet is also out. So guys, now the next phase is to challenge the question where we find out, and you have seen there were 4 to 5 questions in the paper where a lot of ambiguity was there. So definitely students are looking for which question should be challenged, which question should not be. And guys, this video is for that only. Sorry for the delay, actually because of some bad health I was unable to make the video first, so that's why we are making it today, and I'm sharing it on my views. What are the questions where we can go for the challenge and all. So as there are 2 questions from the production, 2 questions from the like heat transfer and fluid mechanics part, so that part would be taken by Chandrasekhar sir, and production part I will be telling you. So guys, we are moving further. This is some detail about me. These are my areas of expertise, and this is my Telegram channel, Mechanical by Dheeraj Sardana, where you can connect with me and get all the handwritten notes, important stuff for your preparation, and also the links of the various session. And guys, this is the Ground Zero series going on the Byju's Exam Prep app, where you can prepare with the fundamentals for all the branches, and also a post-gate series is going on the app, where we are telling about the cutoffs of various IITs at 4:30 p.m. Okay, 4:30 p.m. is the time for this. Okay, and for this the time is 5:30. So you can join us on the Byju's Exam Prep app for the same. Now I am coming to this question from the welding guys. If you remember, when this question came on the exam day, at that time also different types of data were given by the students. If you remember, when I was solving this question, if you see, first of all, let us see what is the problem in the question. In an arc welding process, the voltage and current are 30 volt and 200 ampere respectively. The cross-sectional area of the joint is 20 mm square, and the welding speed is 5 mm per second. And the heat required to melt the material. First of all, when we are talking about heat required to melt the material, this was given as 20 joule per second. This clearly looks like a misprint, because you know that whenever you have done the thing for the GATE examination, for welding you have seen previous year's question also, from standard books question also, every time it was given like 20 joule per mm cube. Okay, because it is something property of the material ki how much heat is required to melt this much of material, because you know heat required for melting is mCp delta T plus m into latent heat. If we are ignoring delta T, this is m into latent heat. This is a property of the material. So that is even specific it, if you consider mCp delta T plus ml, then also they are properties of the material. So as it is property, it should have this this unit. And when I got the data from the student side, if you remember, I was also solving on that day memory based questions by taking this data, because generally questions are coming with that data only, and in memory based I thought ki students are doing some mistake. But during that live session, students said that no sir, it was given 20 joule per second. Okay. But the point is, whenever we are solving a question, this is not our task to change the question statements. If you are seeing that it is given 20 joule per second, you know it is wrong. But when question is saying that, you have to follow that only. Okay. So that's why then I solved in front of you like that. This is 20 joule per second. So we have written first of all power, that is the rate of heat generation, that is equals to V into I, and we have done it as 30 into 200. And we have written it as 6000 joules per second, है ना? And then we have seen that 20 joule per second is the heat requirement. Okay, so this is 20 joule per second. So what we have seen, that they are asking you the surrounding losses. So when we are talking about the loss, it is going to be what? When you will be finding out, it is going to be 6000 minus 20 divided by 6000 into 100. When you will be going for this, you would be getting the loss as 99.67%. Okay, so this was the solution given on that day also, because if this is the statement, no doubt this will be the answer. No doubt, if you see losses of this much is not a practical case. Practically, when you are doing welding, it is not like in 99% is going to 99% is going to be loss. Loss cannot be that much. Okay. Otherwise, it is not going to be the correct data for sure. But in the question paper, this is not our authority to change the statement, because if they have given some statement, we have to follow that. So if you will go by that data, the answer is this, but they have given the answer as 66.67%. that can come only if we consider this 20 joule per second as 20 joule per mm cube, because in that case when you will be finding out heat requirement, you would be writing 20 joule per mm cube into 20 mm square into 5 mm per second. So when you will be going for this, you would be getting here 2000, that is joule per second. This is the heat required rate. Now when you will be going for the loss to the surroundings, percentage loss, you will be having 6000 minus 2000 divided by 6000 into 100. So you would be getting it as 66.67%. And in the exam also many students have done it like this. And obviously if you see the official answer key, they have given this as answer. So when we are talking about the question, no doubt this should be the correct way to do. But in the data they have mentioned 20 joule per second. So because of that reason, that is for sure that whatever the answer key they are giving, that is not matching with respect to question. So this question is a question where my suggestion is yes, the challenge should be done. Now whether when we are talking about challenge should be done, so I would like to tell you here that when we are going to challenge, the reason you should be knowing ki, because if you are going to take this data, then answer should be 99.67%. Now when you will be going for this application, whether they are going to give marks to all or they are going to change the answer, that depends on the gate peoples, because they must have some criteria for that. Based on that they will take the decision. But yes, this is a question where ambiguity is there and it should be challenged, okay, because if you see the data, answer should be 99.67%, and if they accept it was a typing error, then it should be marks to all. Based on that they will be taking the decision. Okay, so this was the one question. Then I am talking about the second question. There also students were having the doubt. Here ambiguity is there in the data. Actually whenever we are talking about this blanking and punching question, you must have seen generally we are writing that punch size is equals to die size minus 2 times of radial clearance. This you have seen. But if you see the question, in the complete question, a blanking operation is performed on C20 steel sheet to obtain a circular disc having a diameter 20 mm, thickness 2 mm, allowance 0.04 is provided. The punch size used for the operation is. They have asked the answer to be in mm. So they are not mentioning any word like clearance. Okay. So then if you see there was a question in the previous year's gate where they have given allowance also, clearance also. There the formula used was punch size is equals to die size minus 2 times of radial clearance and then minus of allowance. So this formula is also used in that question, and also I would like to tell you in the standard books, if you follow, this formula is mentioned. Okay, but only once this type of questions have been asked where it was given like that. But the problem is, first of all, if even you are going to use this formula, you should see that there is a problem that they have not given the units for this 0.04. The units for this 0.04 was not given. Okay, so as the units was not given, because of that some students may also have done it like this, ki generally we are writing that radial clearance. Generally we are writing the radial clearance as percentage of thickness. So they have considered that this 0.04 means it is 4%. So if we take this 4%, we will be writing 4 by 100 into the thickness. Thickness is nothing but 2 mm. When you will be considering this, you will be getting it like 4 into 8 is 0.08. Okay, and then you know we are going to apply the formula for punch size is equals to die size minus 2 times of radial clearance. So if some students have done it like that, they may be getting the correct answers. So the point is whether this question is challenged or not. So I would like to say, if you see that reason, yes, the reason is there because they have mentioned an allowance. They have not mentioned whether it is radial clearance allowance or diametral clearance allowance. They have not mentioned, and they have also not mentioned the mm units. So ambiguity is there in the question for sure. But dear, I would like to say it also happened many times that whenever you find a question, you find that whatever the answer given is not matching and students have challenged, but every time that challenge accepted, it also not going to be the case every time. Sometimes even though if they are giving wrong answer, they are not accepting that challenge also. The reasons may be many for that case. So that's why I would like to say key for welding question, it is sure that it should be challenged. What will be the impact of that challenge? That maybe you can say, because majority of the students have done as per the data point of view. So even if they give marks to all, already marks to all are coming. So definitely every student's marks may not be affected much if you see, but yes, definitely some individual cases will be there. So based on that, yes, this question should be challenged. But when we are talking about this question you can challenge based on the ambiguity, but we cannot say for surety that they are going to accept that challenge or not, because as they have not given the units for this, so that is why majority of the students can think it like that way also. Okay, but if we are talking about the formula for allowance, this is given in the standard books. Okay, so in that way, if you are talking about, yes, it can be challenged, but whether it will be accepted or not, that depends. Okay, so that will be totally your choice. If you feel ki dekho, if you feel ki if I will be doing that and if challenge is accepted, I may get into IIT or I may get into PSU, then you can go for it. Okay, so this is my advice. But yes, for the previous question, it is it should be challenged for every reason, because you can see the reason behind that, that data given was not appropriate, and if we go for that data, the answer should be 99.67%. Okay, so this is about my production question. Now Chandra sir's HMT and fluid mechanics question, what are his suggestion, you can see. But as I said, these are suggestions from our side. What finally is going to happen, that obviously the final call is for IIT peoples. But yes, you can follow these instructions. Okay, that will definitely help you to challenge the question, and obviously kuch if that is going to get benefit you, that is going to be good for you, you should go for it. Okay guys, so goodbye for this particular video from my side. Now Chandra sir will be coming for his subject.
हेलो दोस्तों, मैं चंद्रशेखर आप सबका इस सेशन में स्वागत करता हूं, जहां हम गेट 2024 में आए हुए ऐसे क्वेश्चंस की बात करेंगे जो चैलेंज किए जा सकते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ इनसफिशिएंट डेटा और इनकम्प्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन। जी हां दोस्तों, मैं बात करूंगा फ्लूइड मैकेनिक्स और हीट ट्रांसफर सब्जेक्ट के ऐसे दो क्वेश्चंस जिनमें इंफॉर्मेशन कंप्लीट नहीं है और गेट ने जो आंसर की प्रोवाइड की है वो बिल्कुल भी सही नहीं है, और इस सिचुएशन में इन दोनों क्वेश्चंस को हम चैलेंज कर सकते हैं। मैं सॉल्यूशन भी आपको दूंगा और क्वेश्चन में कहां प्रॉब्लम है, क्या उनसे मिस्टेक हुई है क्वेश्चन को फ्रेम करते हुए, ऐसे क्वेश्चंस की हम इस सेशन में चर्चा करेंगे। क्योंकि गेट एग्जामिनेशन हमेशा नए क्वेश्चन फ्रेम करने के लिए जाना जाता है, तो किसी क्वेश्चन में मिस्टेक होना, नया क्वेश्चन अगर कोई फ्रेम करता है तो बहुत ही कॉमन चीज है, बहुत लाजमी है। फिर भी गेट अथॉरिटी ने ये स्टूडेंट्स को एक ऑप्शन दे रखा है कि जब भी कोई क्वेश्चंस उनको फील हो कि वो गलत है, उसको चैलेंज किया जा सकता है, तो दे आर रेडी टू करेक्ट देयर मिस्टेक्स। तो चलिए सीधे क्वेश्चंस पे आते हैं। पहला क्वेश्चन जो कि फ्लूइड मैकेनिक्स में पूछा गया था, बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल क्वेश्चन फ्रेम करने की कोशिश हुई, बट क्योंकि इतना लेंथी क्वेश्चन था, इस वजह से जरा सी मिस्टेक होने की वजह से ये क्वेश्चन गलत फ्रेम हो गया, और जो ऑप्शन, जो आंसर गेट ने इसका प्रोवाइड किया है कि ये दोनों स्टेटमेंट्स ट्रू हैं, ये गेट ने आंसर की में ऑप्शन सेलेक्ट किया हुआ है। तो मैं बताऊंगा कि ये क्वेश्चन, ये ऑप्शन सी कैसे सही हो सकता था और किस वजह से ये सही नहीं है, चैलेंज किया जा सकता है। क्वेश्चन पढ़िए जरा। इन द पाइप नेटवर्क शोन इन द फिगर, ऑल द पाइप्स हैव सेम क्रॉस सेक्शन। इसका मतलब हर पाइप का डायमीटर सेम है, डायमीटर कांस्टेंट है। and can be assumed to have the same friction factor. फ्रिक्शन फैक्टर भी कांस्टेंट है हर पाइप में. द पाइप्स कनेक्टिंग पॉइंट्स WN, ये W पॉइंट है, N है, S है, विद पॉइंट J हैव एन इक्वल लेंथ L. Equal length L. The pipe which is connecting the point J and E has a length of 10L. The pressure at the ends N, E and S are equal. प्रेशर और इंफॉर्मेशन क्या है, डायमीटर कांस्टेंट है, फ्रिक्शन फैक्टर कांस्टेंट है, एंड प्रेशर एट N इज इक्वल टू प्रेशर एट E इज इक्वल टू प्रेशर एट S इज ऑल्सो कांस्टेंट. प्रेशर्स भी कांस्टेंट है, राइट. ये इंफॉर्मेशन हमें गिवन है. The flow rate in the pipe connecting W and J is Q. The rate of flow is Q here. Assume that the fluid flow is steady. It means there is no local acceleration, or the steady and incompressible means discharge remains constant. Discharge entering into the pipe network will be equal to discharge leaving from the pipe network. Alright, and the pressure losses at the pipe entrance and the junction are negligible. It means minor losses are ignored. Minor losses are ignored. ये सारी की सारी इंफॉर्मेशन. मेजर लॉसेस वी नीड टू कंसिडर बिकॉज द फ्रिक्शन फैक्टर की बात हुई है. मेजर लॉस इज ड्यू टू फ्रिक्शन. देयर आर टू स्टेटमेंट्स. द फ्लो रेट इन द पाइप कनेक्टिंग J and E is Q by 21. This is Q by 21. And the second statement is the pressure difference between J and N is equal to the pressure difference between J and E. J and N and J and E. तो चलिए इसको देखते हैं कि इन दोनों स्टेटमेंट्स में कौन सा सही है, कौन सा गलत है. पहले J is a junction. First of all, you need to understand this J is a junction. And at any junction, net flow rate at the junction must be 0. Or we can say at a junction, discharge entering should be equal to discharge leaving from the junction. That is our continuity equation. Discharge entering into the junction will be equal to discharge leaving. So direction of flow already given hai. So Q is the discharge entering into the junction is equal to, let me assume it as Q1, let me assume it as Q2, let me call it as Q3. So Q will be equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. That is equation number 1. Now the objective is to, the first step, the first part is Q3 is equal to Q by 21 which is given. So we need to develop a relation between Q3 as a function of Q, or we need to find out the value of Q3 as a function of Q in terms of Q. Now ये तो हुई continuity equation. I have applied continuity equation for a junction. Continuity equation. For a junction, net flow rate is 0. At any junction, net flow rate is 0. Now, if we write the energy equation, if we apply the energy equation, the head at J is, let us say, Hj. So, can we say for a junction, let me call it as point J here. Let me call this point as J1. Let me call it as J2. Let me call it as J3. So in pipe 1, the point is J1, inlet point is J1. For pipe 2, the inlet point is, let us say, J2. And for pipe 3, the inlet point is J3. And the end of the pipe, or end of the pipe Wj is point J. So according to energy conservation equation, J or energy at point J will be equal to energy at J1 is equal to energy at J2 is equal to energy at J3. Isn't it? At any junction, the junction is shared by 4 pipes. It is shared by the pipe W, end of the pipe W. The same point junction is shared by the inlet of pipe 1 or Jn. The same point is shared by the inlet of pipe Je. The same point junction is shared by the inlet of the pipe Js. So EJ3 remains constant because energy is a point function. So because energy is a point function, it is independent of the fact whether the junction is the inlet to pipe 1 or inlet to pipe 2 or inlet to pipe 3, right? So energy at J will remain constant. So from the energy conservation equation for the pipe 1, can we write HJ1, the total head at J1 minus HN is equal to HL1, the loss in pipe 1? Can we write? So this is because the velocity remains constant, diameter remains constant throughout the pipe, and Q is equal to constant because the flow is steady. So the velocity will also be constant. So we can say implies velocity will be constant, or it is V1. Because the velocity is constant, there is no change in potential energy because it is in XY plane. The pipe network is in a horizontal plane. As long as it is not mentioned, we will assume it is in a horizontal plane. So there is no change in potential energy. There is no change in kinetic energy in any of the pipe. So the loss of head is nothing but delta PL by rho G. Or can we write it to be PJ1 minus PN by rho G is equal to HL1? Because Z remains constant, there is no change in potential energy. Velocity remains constant because the flow is steady and incompressible. So this is Pj1 minus Pn upon rho G is equal to HL1. Similarly, we can write, I am calling it as pipe 1, I am calling it as pipe 2, I am calling it as pipe 3. Similarly, can we write HJ2, this point is J2, minus HS is equal to HL2? Or can we write PJ2 minus PS by rho G is equal to HL2? And this is point J3. So HJ3 minus HE, because the flow is from J3 to E, is equal to the loss in pipe 3, that is HL3. Because there is no change in potential energy, there is no change in kinetic energy in any of the pipe. So we can say PJ3 minus PE by rho G is equal to HL3, isn't it? And because J1, J2, J3 are same point, so we can say Pj1 is equal to Pj2 is equal to Pj3. The pressure at J1, J2, J3 will be equal. Also, we can say the given condition is Pn. We can say also given is Pn is equal to Ps is equal to Pe. That is also given. So if Pe is equal to Ps is equal to Pn and Pj1 is equal to Pj2 is equal to Pj3. So from these three, can we say HL1 is equal to HL2 is equal to HL3? Can we say HL1 is equal to HL2 is equal to HL3? I hope that is clear. Now, what is HL1? This is pipe 1, this is pipe 2, this is pipe 3, this is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3. So HL1 is FL Q1 square upon 12.1 d to the power 5 is equal to FL Q2 square upon 12.1 d to the power 5 is equal to F into 10L into Q3 square upon 12.1 d to the power 5. Diameter is constant. Denominator is same everywhere. Friction factor is same everywhere. L and this L will also be cancelling out. Q1 square is equal to Q2 square is equal to 10 Q3 square, or we can say Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to root 10 Q3. If we put in equation number 1, then Q is equal to Q1, that is under root of 10 Q3, plus Q2, that is also under root of 10 Q3, plus Q3. So from here, Q is equal to 2 root 10 plus 1 into Q3, or we can say Q3 will be equal to Q upon 2 root 10 plus 1. This should have been the answer. This should have been the answer, right? If you see the options, the flow rate in the pipe connecting J and E is not Q by 21, it will be Q by 2 root 10 plus 1. So statement 1 is incorrect. The pressure difference between J and N, that represents the head loss due to friction, is equal to pressure difference between J and E. Yes, the loss will be same in all the three pipes. So statement 2 is correct. So that is why option C cannot be correct for the given question. I hope that is clear. Now how they had framed the question. If we assume the flow to be laminar, look, if we assume the flow to be laminar, and for laminar flow, F is equal to 64 by Reynolds number. That is what we know. For laminar flow, F is equal to 64 mu upon rho Vd, isn't it? 64 is constant, mu is constant, rho is constant, density of the fluid, and diameter is also same. So F is inversely proportional to V, or we can say F is inversely proportional to Q. Are you getting it? F is inversely proportional to discharge because Q is proportional to velocity. Q is equal to pi by 4 d square into velocity. If diameter is constant, Q is proportional to V. So for laminar flow, and we have already said that HL1 is equal to HL2 is equal to HL3. HL1 is FL Q1 square upon 12.1 d to the power 5. F is inversely proportional to Q. Look, is equal to FL Q2 square upon 12.1 d to the power 5 is equal to F into 10L into Q3 square upon 12.1 d to the power 5. Look, because they have specifically mentioned, first of all, laminar is missing here. It is nowhere mentioned that the flow is laminar. That is one problem. So we cannot assume it as laminar as long as it is not given. If they would have mentioned, assume that the fluid flow is steady, incompressible and laminar. That is one thing. The second is the same friction factor. If the friction factor is same, it means discharge should also be same, isn't it? Because F is inversely proportional to discharge. If the friction factor is same, then the discharge should also be same. But if we assume that the friction factor is not same, try to understand F1, then it is F2, then it is F3, let us say. Length getting cancelled out, denominator will get cancelled out. F1 is proportional to 1 by Q1, so it will be Q1. F1 is 1 by Q1, or let me write it like this. 1 by Q1 into Q1 square is equal to 1 by Q2 into Q2 square is equal to F3 is 1 by Q3. 1 by Q3 into 10 Q3 square. So if we simplify this Q1 getting cancelled out, this is also getting cancelled out, this is also getting cancelled out. So we get a relation Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to 10 Q3. In this case, if we assume the flow to be laminar, and if we assume that the friction factor in each pipe is not same, that is where they had committed the mistake. First, they had not mentioned the flow to be laminar. The second problem is they have specifically said that the friction factor is same in all the pipes. So if we put this equation in our equation, if we put this condition in equation number 1, which was Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, then we will get Q is equal to Q1 is 10 Q3 plus Q2 is again 10 Q3 plus Q3. So Q is equal to 10 plus 10 plus 1, 21 Q3, or we will get Q3 is equal to Q by 21. That is why this question must be challenged. I hope this is clear. That is the question from the fluid mechanics. Now let us move to the another question which was asked from the heat transfer, which again involves the concept of fluid mechanics because it is from the convection or forced convection heat transfer in a pipe. Look, if you read the question, consider a hydrodynamically fully developed laminar flow through a circular pipe with the flow along the axis and the flow direction is z direction. It is not given as x direction, it is given as z direction. In the following statements, T is the temperature of the fluid, okay, variable temperature. TW is the wall temperature of the pipe surface, and Tm is the bulk mean temperature of the fluid at any section. At any section, mean temperature of the fluid at any particular section Z. At any section Z. Which one of the following statement is true? Statement A is, this is statement A. Statement A says for constant wall temperature of the duct, if TW is constant, then dTm by dz, this is the slope of Tm mean temperature as a function of Z. So slope of Tm versus Z is constant. dTm by dz is constant. What does that mean? Tm is a function of Z which is linear. Look, if अगर ये कांस्टेंट वॉल टेम्परेचर नहीं दिया होता, अगर कांस्टेंट वॉल टेम्परेचर नहीं होता, अगर कांस्टेंट हीट फ्लक्स होता, फॉर कांस्टेंट हीट फ्लक्स और फुल्ली डेवलप्ड फ्लो होता, तो टेम्परेचर प्रोफाइल कुछ ऐसा बनता जेड के साथ, like this. This should have been the temperature profile. This is the developing region and this is the mean temperature and this is the wall temperature. For constant heat flux condition, this delta T, TW and Tm, delta T that is equal to TW minus Tm would have been constant. For constant heat flux, Q dash is constant. For constant heat flux condition, Tm would have been a linear function of Z, or we could have said dTm by dz would have been 0. That would have been true for constant heat flux. But for constant wall temperature, for wall temperature to be constant, then the temperature profile, if the wall temperature is constant, that is TW, the temperature profile of the fluid will be something like this. This is Tm, mean temperature, right? For TW to be constant, so Tm is a function of Z is exponential. This is how Tm is as a function of Z is exponential. The variation is, so we can find out LMTD, logarithmic mean temperature difference from here, because the temperature variation with Z is exponential. So dTm by dz is also exponential. Is exponential. Differentiation of exponential function is also exponential function, right? So for constant wall temperature of the duct, the temp dt by dm is not constant, it will be exponential. First statement is incorrect. Now for a thermally fully developed flow, people have a doubt in this expression. Del T by del Z is equal to 0, because for a fully developed boundary layer, for fully developed velocity profile, if there is a fully developed velocity profile or fully developed velocity profile, u is not a function of Z. The velocity is not a function of Z, or du or del u by del Z is equal to 0. Del u by del Z is equal to 0 for fully developed velocity profile. But here it is about not about the velocity profile, it is about the thermal or temperature profile, for fully developed temperature profile, if we talk about that, समझिए इस बात को, fully developed temperature profile, तो ये होता है del by del z, then it will be TW minus T upon TW minus TM is equal to 0. Del T by del Z is not 0, unlike the velocity profile. Velocity, for the fully developed velocity profile, U is not a function of Z, but temperature, the temperature of the fluid is a function of Z. It will be a function of Z. Del T by del Z is non-zero, right? But this dimensionless temperature profile, this is called as dimensionless temperature profile. ये जीरो होगा, this will be zero, not the given condition. इस वजह से ऑप्शन बी भी इनकरेक्ट, ऑप्शन बी इज ऑल्सो इनकरेक्ट. ऑप्शन सी को देखिए, नसल नंबर वेरीज लीनियरली अलोंग द जेड डायरेक्शन, इट इज हाइड्रोडायनेमिकली फुल्ली डेवलप्ड लैमिनार फ्लो, रेनॉल्ड नंबर इज लेस देन 2000. सो उस केस में नसल नंबर इज कांस्टेंट, और ये कांस्टेंट की वैल्यू 4.36 हो सकती है. फॉर कांस्टेंट वॉल हीट फ्लक्स कंडीशन ये वैल्यू 3.66 हो सकती है फॉर वॉल टेम्परेचर टू बी कांस्टेंट. सो नसल नंबर इज कांस्टेंट व्हेन इट इज fully developed flow, it is constant. It will not vary linearly along the z direction for a thermally fully developed laminar flow. यहां laminar flow ऑलरेडी मेंशन किया हुआ है, तो इस वजह से सी भी इनकरेक्ट है. और अगर इसको टर्बुलेंट फ्लो भी अज्यूम करते हैं, if we assume it as turbulent flow, Nusselt number is directly proportional to Reynolds number to the power, कितना होता है Reynolds number to the power, याद है आप लोगों को? Just hold on. 4/5 and Prandtl number to the power 1/3 होता है कि नहीं होता? For turbulent flow, Reynolds number to the power 4/5 and Prandtl number to the power 1/3. Reynolds number to the power 4/5 into Prandtl number to the power 1/3. So Reynolds number में Reynolds number कैसे डिफाइन करेंगे? Reynolds number is given as rho v d by mu. It is not a function of z. Reynolds number is not a function of z, so Nusselt number will not be a function of z. Nusselt number is not a function of z. Flow direction में Reynolds और Nusselt number change नहीं करेगा, so option C is also incorrect. Option D, let us talk about option D. Option D ये कह रहा है for constant wall temperature where TW is greater than TM of the duct, dTm by dz increases exponentially. ये ठीक है, it varies exponentially, but the slope increases with the distance along z direction. That is the slope of Tm versus z. अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले ये कर्व दिखाया आप लोगों को, ये कर्व. अब इसमें अगर आप स्लोप को देखें, यहां पे स्लोप कितना होगा? ड्रॉ ए टेंजेंट एंड एंगल विथ जेड एक्सिस. दिस इज द स्लोप, दिस विल बी द स्लोप. अगर यहां पे स्लोप फाइंड आउट करें, ड्रॉ ए टेंजेंट एंड फाइंड आउट द एंगल विथ दिस. यहां पे स्लोप, ड्रॉ ए टेंजेंट एंड एंगल विथ द एक्स एक्सिस. डू यू सी θ1 is greater than θ2 is greater than θ3? So the slope decreases, or we can say dt by dm or dtm by dz decreases exponentially in the direction of z. Problem fourth statement में यही है कि it is showing increases exponentially in the direction. by mistake ये क्वेश्चन गलत फ्रेम हो गया, ऑप्शन ए बी सी तो इनकरेक्ट है, बी सही हो सकता था अगर इंक्रीजेस की जगह पे डिक्रीजेस होता तो। सो दिस इज अगेन कैन बी चैलेंज। तो ये दो क्वेश्चन है जिनका मैंने डिटेल्ड आपको सॉल्यूशन दिया है। आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड द सॉल्यूशन एंड आई होप यू एग्री विद माई एनालिसिस और माई ऑब्जर्वेशन। मैंने थोड़ा वेट किया, मैंने सोचा कि गेट में अगर कोई क्वेश्चन आया है तो हो सकता है देयर माइट बी ए सम ट्विस्ट इन द क्वेश्चन, बट फाइनली आई केम टू द कंक्लूजन दैट बिकॉज they wanted to frame a very new different question, they have included so many things, so many parameters in a single question, then there is a fair chance that they might end up making the question incorrectly, framing the question incorrectly. All right, so that is all from my side, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. Now it is up to you to challenge these two questions. Thank you. I will see you in the next video. जय हिंद।